Manual data entry is a huge waste of time, and even today, people are still doing manual data entry. So, what is the way out? What is the proper solution to prevent you or your employees from having to do manual data entry? I have two solutions prepared for you and some examples. And by the way, my name is Jameson Saunders, founder of Saunders Tech Labs. Without further ado, solution number one is no code automations. This will be a little bit abstract, and then we're going to bring it back down to a practical example. On the left here, we have the source of your information. This could be anything, perhaps invoices received via email that you need to go and input numbers into a database, for example, or a spreadsheet like Google Sheets or Numbers. The overarching problem here is that there's no way to get from the source to the destination without manually inputting these numbers. Solution number one is no-code automations. And what I mean by that is an automatic way of syncing up that source data to the target database or spreadsheet. And this only works if your source is digital, but in solution number two, I'm going to describe a mechanism to make this work with physical methods as well. Some no-code solutions here would be like Zapier, Make, NAN, Power Automate, Airtable, things like that. I'm sure you've heard of some of these, but essentially that will allow you to set up triggers or synchronizations between the data here and over here. So maybe every time you get a new lead, it writes data to the database. Or every time you get a new invoice, it writes data to the database. And it can be a little bit janky because you perhaps are parsing emails or doing something that's not super sturdy or reliable in order to get the information over here, which is why we're going to hop over pretty quickly to the second solution, which has a little bit more control and flexibility, and that would be custom software. And this is the most common pattern over here that I've seen as far as custom software, where you've got a user interface of some type gathering the data, and then that syncs up with some type of API server sending over that information as needed or in batches. However your user interface is designed based on your specific use case, you'll be sending that data to the server, which will then sync it to the database or a spreadsheet. And now you've got a completely automated way of getting data into your database or spreadsheet. And I said this could work with physical means as well, and it absolutely can, because you can use your phone or a scanner to scan in information or use character recognition via the camera on your phone, things like that. Just any way capturing the information via forms, images, things like that. You capture that via the user interface, and then you send it on over to the database. Now, like I said, this is only the most common pattern, but your situation could be completely different, and we would have to look at it on a case-by-case basis, but we'll walk through a specific example here in just a moment. The overarching idea here is we're going to revisit this workflow from the ground up. Only downside really is it's going to have a higher cost. Take a look at this example. So like I said earlier, maybe we're receiving invoices via our email, and we want to populate that invoice information into a database or a spreadsheet. Now, if we were to approach this with solution number one, the no-code automations, we might be actually watching our email via some sort of parser orchestrated with something like Zapier. So Zapier would be orchestrating this entire process, and then the parser would simply be looking through the invoice and grabbing the specific columns and syncing it up to the database or spreadsheet. And this can be a little bit janky, like I said, because, what if there's issues in the parser? What if it can't parse properly? What if there's delays in getting the emails, or they don't come through? So this isn't a very robust system, but it could work as kind of a workaround for at least making it better than manual data entry. But the real magic can come here in the custom software section. So with custom software, we can simplify this entire system to just a couple of APIs talking to each other and synchronizing their own databases. So imagine that our API simply sends out a work order to the vendor, and that essentially contains all the information that the invoice would anyway, such as quantities, costs, things like that. And then the vendor will be validating that information and perhaps providing a receipt number or something like that, and then syncing that back with us. So we've got a integrate some custom software here, write up some custom code to make this all work together. So the end result of this is that the system is better architected, it will function better, more reliable, less errors, things like that. Versus, the other solution where it's kind of no code solutions. It's cobbled together and it will probably work most of the time, but you're going to encounter delays and issues and things like that. If you'd like us here at Saunders Tech Labs to take a look at your specific problem, feel free to click the link in the description below to learn more about us and schedule a call so that you can talk with one of our engineers and get your problem addressed. Hopefully that means no more manual data entry for you. Thanks for watching, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next video.